Number 1. The Proclamation of 1763 was issued by Great Britain after the French and Indian War, primarily to A. Promote colonial settlement beyond the Appalachian Mountains, B. Limit conflict between Native American Indians and colonial settlers, C. Encourage colonial economic ties with France, or D. Force French settlers to leave British territory. Number 2. The Virginia House of Burgesses and the Mayflower Compact had a similar effect in that both A. Reinforced the English Parliament's control over the colonies, B. Gave settlers the power to establish colonies, C. Contributed to the development of representative democracy, or D. Granted absolute authority to the colonial governors. Number 3. Base your answers to the following questions on the following map and on your knowledge of social studies. The title is North America, 1775. The dark dotted lines is Proclamation Line of 1763. The lighter dotted lines, colonial borders. The Proclamation Line of 1763, shown on the map, was most directly a result of which of the following? A. Increase French settlement east of the Appalachian Mountain following their victory in the French and Indian War. B. Attempts by Great Britain to reduce conflict between the colonists and Native Americans following the French and Indian War. C. Creation of the First Continental Congress to organize colonial resistance to British policies. Or D. Violent protest of the Stamp Act by the American colonists. Number 4. What was the main cause of the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763? A. Disputed land claims in the Ohio River Valley between the French and the British. B. Conflicts between American colonists and the French over control of the Great Plains. C. Taxation of American colonists without representation in Parliament. Or D. Violation of trade agreements between European nations and Native American Indians. Number 5. The Virginia House of Burgesses, the New York State Assembly, and the United States Senate are all examples of A. Direct democracies, B. Representative bodies, C. Executive branches, D. Appointed lawmakers. Number 6. The Mayflower Compact is important to the concept of the democratic society because it represents A. An effort by colonists to use force to resist the king, B. A clear step towards self-government, C. An early attempt to establish universal suffrage, or D. An attempt by the colonists to establish freedom of religion. Number 7. How did the outcome of the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, affect American colonists? A. New taxes were imposed by Britain to pay its debt. B. British troops were removed from the colonies. C. Settlements were allowed west of the Appalachians. Or D. Colonial trade regulation was reduced. Go. Number 8. Which is characteristic of both democracy and capitalism? A. Guarantees of high standard of living. B. Equality among people. C. Very limited competition. Or D. Considerable individual choice. Number 9. In the colonial era, developments such as the New England town meetings and the establishment of the Virginia House of Burgesses represented A. Colonial attempts to build a strong national government. B. Efforts by the British to strengthen their control over the colonies. C. Steps in the growth of representative democracy. Or D. Early social reform movements. Number 10. The ideals of the Athenian state, Roman law, and the Mayflower Compact contributed most significantly to the growth of the principles of A. Government under law and the consent of governed. B. Religious freedom and women's suffrage. C. Checks and balances and separation of powers. Or D. Racial equality and equal treatment under the law. Document 3. 3A. In what way did the Proclamation of 1763 impact the settlement of American colonists? (3B) What purpose did the Proclamation of 1763 serve in the colonies? Document 4, the Quartering Act, 1765 to 1774. His Majesty hereby requires the people to house and quarter the officers and soldiers in barracks provided by colonies. And if there shall not be significant room in these barracks, then in such a case the soldiers must be quartered in the homes of the people of the colony. They are also required to do the following: provide food for troops, provide beer and wine for troops, provide bedding, utensils, candles, and firewood. 4A. According to the above document about the Quartering Act, what were the colonists required to provide to the soldiers? (4B) Why did the British government feel that it was necessary to pass the Quartering Act?